just signed on to another podcast of Art of Intelligence. Today, we have an absolutely fantastic person that has dedicated most of his life to technology and is now a big voice when it comes to AI. The Art of Intelligence, as we all know, is, if you're listening, a AI-centric podcast, and we are here to delve into the depths of AI and how it can help the world with one unique AI use case at a time. Alex Castro, CEO of 1159, welcome to our podcast today.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Fantastic. Alex, we've asked you to come here. You're an award-winning author. You've got 30 years of technology experience. You're very passionate about automation, AI, and you're the leader, co-founder, and CEO of 1159. Before we go into an introduction of yourself and giving us a little more understanding on what 1159 does, which I like the name, by the way,
Okay.
can you give us the question that we ask all of our guests, which is if money and time was no object, what vacation would you take? And this can be with or without kids.
Based on your summary of my 30 years of experience, I am luckily now past the child rearing phase. I have the freedom back again. Honestly, the top answer for me is the horse race in Siena, Italy, where different clubs race bareback around one piazza. I'd also like to do the tomato festival in Spain as well. Those are my two tick boxes that I still have to do. I've done a
I
lot, and those two are still there.
I knew I liked you the first second I saw you. Those glasses, I actually tried those glasses on the other day in Toronto. Oh, Spain, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone other than myself talk about that being a checklist item.
It looks like just like a lot of fun. I think it'd be a great time.
I love it. Fantastic. That was a great answer. I really appreciate that. That made
You
me
bet.
genuinely smile today. So, Alex, can you do me a favor? I would love to get into questions about you, AI, and 1159, but you seem like a very interesting person. You've done a lot of things with your life. Can you maybe give me a brief story on what got you into technology and what brought you down this path to where you are today?
No, I originally started out as an architect. My undergraduate degree is in architecture. I started graduate school in architecture. Being in architecture is that you're more on the creative side. I was playing basketball with a guy, and we started talking about founding a company doing mapping data. I was maybe 4 years out of college and started this company that did topographic maps in the 90s. And this is the days of CDs and floppy disks. We created the largest database of georeference mapping data in the world. If you pull a USGS topographic map off the USGS today, more likely than not, the company that we co-founded built that or did that map and sold it to the USGS. And what I enjoyed was the creativity in creating operational solutions and being able to solve problems in 1995 when computers had limited RAM and memory. You had to do all these graphic displays. How are you going to put a map on the screen and seam them together between maps and be able to do three-dimensional maps? So you could do line of sight and wave propagation analysis for cell towers in foreign countries. It afforded me some amazing experiences, but the creativity of being able to solve that was fantastic. And that's where I got my start and never looked back.
Wow. It's really inspiring. There's so many people, me included, that entrepreneurs that start that try to make a difference and do different things. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I'm sure you've had moments where things aren't working. This topographical map thing sounds really interesting. From there, you got to experience a lot of the technology, like you said, with the cell towers and line of sight. What got you into having more of an AI thought process or leading into AI or automation or machine learning?
Absolutely. So after I did the startup with the mapping data and we sold it, I went to work with Transamerica. At Transamerica, we acquired a company doing neural network predictive modeling of home values. During a refinance, you could type in the address, rather than having to have an appraiser go out, you could get a ballpark figure in 1999, 2000, based on a neural network AI model. we took that and put it onto the internet. Today, you can go on to a number of different real estate sites and have the predictive value of your home. In 1999, 2000, that really didn't exist because the internet was emerging. We took that product we were selling to lenders and refi companies that were using it to replace the appraiser and the appraisal process that would slow the ability to understand how much somebody's home was worth in terms of the refinance and lowering of interest rates. And so that they could do it in minutes and automate that. And then we put it on the internet and people could see their own home values for the first time, their predictive home values, without having to go to a realtor or get an appraisal. It was one of the things that the internet represented. If you look holistically, the whole value of the internet is instant gratification. I can order what I want, stream what I want, get any piece of information I want, whenever I want, as fast as I want. That was one of those Genesis elements that was, I can get the value of my home whenever I want. And so we did that and began to dig into what it is to build a neural network model and working through the data and having good data quality, and then continue to do that at Transamerica and the consulting practice we built through 1159 into what we have today as our AI laboratory that has a number of ready to deploy solutions. When you invest in AI and things like AI and technology and data, it's how are you getting more traction for the business? How are you getting more traction for what you want to do with the tech? And what we really focus on is helping people anchor their understanding or what the value proposition is of AI in the current evolving space, right? We believe those investments need to be high ROI investments that come in weeks, not months, not years, and that people should be able to experience that quickly and iterate through it as it evolves.
Wow. Sounds simple. I have so many questions, but they just won't fit in this conversation. Back in 2005, 2006, I was ruining the world one little old lady at a time at Countrywide Mortgage. I could have really used access to your software because my
Yeah.
loans at the time were being stalled by appraisers. I can remember going to the Dallas Central Appraisal District. Nothing was automated. I had to look through books of zip codes, tax
Yep.
appraisals. I can really appreciate the automation of that. Many of my guests have said, take something no one in your company wants to do, any process that is very tedious, and throw some AI at it. Hopefully, it will increase the ROI by taking away that process, whether it be by cutting down on time used or being able
Yep.
to cut down on staff. I'm not propagating the myth of AI kills jobs, but I think AI makes strategic jobs more strategic and makes jobs that don't have AI need AI. That's a whole different conversation.
Any new iteration of technology brings out the fear of people, and they need that anchor point. They need to understand, what does this really mean for me? In the evolution, the early evolution of the internet, a lot of people back then used to talk about the fact that brick and mortar is over, right? That brick and mortar stores were going to go away, that the world was all through online ordering. And we had to mature into that world, right? I can remember the first time I put my credit card information into a website. You're terrified. It's like, what's going to happen? Right? Am I ever going to get the product, or am I just getting scammed? And then you had the whole conversation around the evolution or the disintegration of brick and mortar. And yeah, there were stores that went out of business. There was about 7 million businesses that went out of business because of the internet in the first 15 years. Are there going to be jobs affected by AI? Without question. What we really need to understand, though, is that yeah, you want to go for the low hanging fruit, get things that you can automate and remove the error prone elements, the redundancy. We have customers who have said, look, I've got these 2, 3 roles. I'm churning through these roles every 3 months. I'm having to rehire somebody to go do this thing. Can we automate that so I don't have to go through that expense? Because the people doing the work don't like the work. The people that are paying for the work can't get people to stay consistently in the roles. I would expand a little bit on what maybe some of your other guests have talked to, which is really the fact that look at your IP in your business, and your IP is in your operations, right? There's 3 principal areas that you're going to apply AI. You're going to apply it in your operations, you're going to apply it in the customer experience, or you're going to apply it into the sales and marketing component. Most people gravitate towards sales and marketing straight away. That's a tough one for me to support. There are a really great use case for it. If you really look at the world of CRM, 40% of people like the CRM product that they have. 60% of people don't like it, don't use it, or it's shelved. I have to give kudos
That's good.
to the marketing people in the CRM space. They are the best because they've made everybody believe they need a CRM, they need to buy some epic tool, implement it, and it's going to change their world. Most of us know that it doesn't work that way, yet we still rely in that technology. And what I would offer is that if you're really going to look at your AI investment, definitely look for low hanging fruit where you've got a lot of error prone stuff, repetitive stuff, things where you have tough time retaining jobs in that space because either the work is boring or it's just not what, difficult to hire for. But also look at how do you leverage your IP into your LLM? Build out your initial AI investment into your operations, start to pull your IP into a 6-week effort. Then you can start to see, how does my IP now get more automated, get enhanced? How does my LLM learn from the way that my IP is operating within the business? Because it's your process. Your people, that old adage of people process technology really is going away because your people are versatile. People come and go based on their own career needs and objectives. Technology is evolving faster than we can keep up with it. The only thing that's left is process, and where your IP is in your processes. If you can pull that into your AI and you can begin to automate some of that and actually have it begin to learn in and of itself how customers are behaving, how your people are behaving, how the market's behaving, it can actually enhance your IP position. And those are great places to start, where it's the low hanging fruit, and then go after your IP. Once you begin to leverage that model within your IP, trickling it down into customer experience will then really enhance that relationship between you and the customer. And then ultimately, you can feed that into your sales and marketing. The reason I struggle with the sales and marketing out the gate is that while people may experience this incredible sales and marketing process driven by AI, they turn the corner, but you're still doing things like old school, which is 3 months ago. Then no matter how good your sales and marketing is, if your operations and your customer experience is not AI driven, you're going to have customer drop off straight away. So people want and are demanding the AI within the experience that they have with you as a provider, either of a good or a service. And once that happens, then being able to leverage it within the sales and marketing piece makes more sense.
That is absolutely 100% true. And I see even better now. Before I would have said, let's start with the sales and marketing because that's where I'm from, right? That's my background,
Sure,
sales and
of course.
marketing. So I'm
A lot
looking
of
at
people go
things.
to a lot of people go to that.
It's so easy to
Yeah.
go, you know what? Let's automate how we look for customers. Let's automate how we do pricing. Let's automate how we market to different segments and crunch all that segment data.
Yeah.
What you're saying makes so much more sense. Let's look at our own data. Let's see who's
Mhm.
buying what, in what time frame, for how much are they buying it for? When do they stop buying? Let's get all of that
How
business
do they use it?
intelligence. And then from there, automate that into who do we need to spend more time on because it's got the bigger margin.
Yes. The experience you have for the listener, look, in the next 18 months, what's going to affect you in the AI space is the differentiation in the experience that your customer has with you versus what your customer may have with somebody else. Is your competitor going to have a strategic advantage through AI? Possibly, but it's more about the experience that they're having. Is the service coming to them faster? Is the experience interacting with you and your company better? And in those contexts, that's how people will divine, right? Because in the world of the internet, it was companies pushing the internet onto consumers, onto other businesses in ways to interact, right? Don't send me a letter, send me an email, right? Come to my website, look through my catalog, all of those kinds of things. In the world of AI, it is the consumer pushing the expectation onto the businesses. And so it's inverted. And so, what we as business leaders need to do is respond to the fact that our customers are more and more expecting AI to be integrated into the experience to remove friction. People
Right.
don't want friction anymore. They want things that are seamless. They want to inquire about something, look for something, order something, or find information from you. And they don't want to have to hunt and peck for it. They want that transition of give it to me. The big argument today is that people shouldn't be replacing Google or replacing Chrome or any other browser that you're using. I don't know that's going to be necessarily something that those companies can control. And when you have a chatbot like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini or Copilot, they remove the friction of looking for information. How often have I typed in the last 2 weeks, hey, I don't want to cook tonight. Where's a good place to go to dinner? This is where I am located. And it lists it for me, gives me recommendation. No advertising, no interference. Just go here. You're going to have fun. Great. Done. Right. I could do that research on the internet. But the chatbot removes the friction. And customers are now being trained to have frictionless experiences. And when they come to you and they still have to do something on paper or make a phone call, or try to schedule an appointment with you, and it's not instantaneous and easy, the friction builds up and your value proposition to them begins to decline, regardless of how good your service or your product is. And that's how they're going to begin to judge you. And so it's more to the context of how do you create that seamlessness? How do you remove the friction? How do you meet that expectation? Whereas in the past, it's typically been us as business leaders imposing some of those things onto customers saying, hey, look how much better the world can be if you just use my XYZ. Now customers are saying, hey, why is this so clunky?
I think that's brilliant as well. I know from my own experience, just like with you, when I go on to DuckDuckGo or Google or whoever,
Yeah.
and I'm looking for something, it always feels like I have to keep searching and searching. But then I go to Perplexity Pro, ask a question, and it brings up things that I didn't even know were there. Would you like
Yeah.
to use this code that I found that could give you 20% off? I didn't even know that was a thing. So I think not only friction, but it also finds those aha moments of what an expert would know to ask. I should or shouldn't ask, but they do. Perplexity, ChatGPT, these chatbots, they know
Yes.
hidden information and they're looking at it as a whole and they're providing that to you.
Yes. And more importantly, your chatbot is learning what you like and don't like.
Yeah.
So it's beginning to filter for you as well. Now, is that a good thing? There are people who say, I need to see everything. Honestly, I think most people have reached a point where I don't want to see everything. I just want somebody to know what I like and don't like. Is it going to remove some opportunity or potential to experience something new and different? Absolutely. But for the most part, you want filters in your life because there's just too much coming at you on
Way too
any
much.
given day.
Can you give us a little background on what 1159 is and what you guys do? What is your main focus?
Our focus is high ROI AI and cloud solutions for mid-sized companies. So companies that are 50 million to about a billion and a half in size. The question I always get is, are the needs of a $50 million company the same as the needs of a $1 billion company? And surprisingly, yeah,
Really?
you're still struggling with a lot of the same things. Maybe the scale's different, but you're still struggling with a lot of the same issues. And when you're in that mid-market space, it still hurts when you invest and things don't work, right? So if you're a $50 million company, you do that $1 million investment, $500,000 investment, and it doesn't work for you, that hurts. But if you're a $100 million company or a $1 billion company, and you're making those same, let's say it's $2 million investment, it still hurts. If you talk to a CEO, it's, yeah, we spent a couple $1 million on that. It's like, yeah, I'm not happy about the fact it didn't work. They're not going to, it's not a write off to them necessarily. And so we focus on how do you gain that traction? How do you get that high ROI value out of an AI solution that's in the AWS cloud environment? And how do you get those things deployed? So, as an example, we built a intelligent document processing IDP solution we call IDP Plus that you can deploy in 15 minutes versus the 6 weeks it typically takes to deploy an IDP solution. And it works within the AWS environment. And then you can go in and within a week or two have full customization of all the different elements around it. And you can start to see ROI within 3 weeks.
Wow.
And so it's about traction. It's about how do you take tech, put it into flow, and start getting value out of it as quickly as you can.
That's excellent. How do you define the role of AI in your customers? Do you see that it is more of what you said earlier, low hanging fruit, or do you see that it is being implemented into very large organization processes from the very beginning? Is it toe in the water or is it jumping in the water for these 50 to $1.5 billion companies?
The most difficult conversation that I have with other CEOs is stop trying to boil the ocean with your initial AI or cloud investment. Get in there, understand what you're dealing with, and then run a progression for several reasons. One, especially in the world of AI, the foundational technology is changing every 3 months. So if you have a 6 month project, halfway through your underlying tech and all of the things it can do is going to change on you. So by the time you get to the end, the level of experience that you have is not going to be as powerful. It's your people are going to be fatigued, and half of what you've done potentially just doesn't have the same value. On the cloud side, we've had more saturation in terms of awareness and people's willingness to move to cloud. But the thing that still exists is that I was committed that cloud could do these things for me, and I can't even get my application up into the cloud. And so they get oversold. And then they're like, why am I going to pay extra dollars to move this thing into the cloud when it was just supposed to work? And so what I tend to offer is it's not necessarily to dip your toe in the water. It's more to the effect of run scaled efforts that progressively get more aggressive over time so that you can get that initial value and understanding and then begin to determine this is the next thing I need to do. This is the next better thing I need to do. And we refer to it as the keyhole approach, right? Just going through that initial effort that is scaled, weeks of investment, not months or a year, allows you to see value within weeks so that you can do data-driven decision making in terms of where you want to invest the next level of dollars. Your awareness becomes much more acute. Your focus is much more acute. Your ability to really determine what's going to create value for the company versus what's a good idea or hyperbole gets better. In terms of what we talk about, 1159 is about being ready for tomorrow. That's our slogan. And you can't be ready for tomorrow if everything you're investing in takes 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, has all of this infrastructure and high overhead from the jump. You've got to be able to progressively move through, especially as AI is evolving and AI in the cloud is evolving. You need to have a progressive approach that allows you to implement, determine value creation, make better decisions, implement the next step and the next step and the next step. And we see, for example, in the financial services industry, an IDP plus solution is exactly the entry point for them because it allows them to consolidate a lot of data aggregation through paper, images, data entry, and actually coalesce that into a workflow that starts to accelerate their ability to generate value back to the customer or within the process model. And by beginning to learn how to do that and seeing how the data is reacting, now you understand how good is your data, because now I can predict and take a look at and say, how good are the models that I'm going to build? And do I need to improve my data collection processes? How do I take something that somebody touches 5 times and reduce that to no touch or 1 touch? And see how those processes improve. So to your point earlier, look for that low hanging fruit, those things that are repetitive, that take a lot of time, but use the keyhole approach so you can gain value incrementally and you're not just spinning dollars out the door, because there's going to be nothing more that's going to kill your AI or your cloud effort by buying into some really super rich idea and then realizing the amount of work still has to be done around that idea in order for that idea itself to work. Contain it, move it forward, learn, make better decisions.
I love it. I'll boil that down in the article that I write about this to win fast, lose fast.
Absolutely. The model really isn't anything revolutionary. AI is working at a 6-to-1 ratio over the internet, right? What took the internet 6 years to train consumers on and businesses on how to work, you have 1 year or less to do that in the AI space. And the velocity alone is overwhelming to the decision processes that are in place today. Don't allow that to dictate or force you into this high magnitude decision and investment process. Use the keyhole, find things actually working in AI within the context of a mid-sized business, leverage that learning that's already happened rather than going out and trying to reinvent your wheel because you think it's a better path, right? Listen to what's working, take that, and then progressively apply it because you're going to learn a lot in that first effort. Your eyes will be suddenly, if you're a skeptic, your eyes are going to blow out of your head. And if you're an early adopter and somebody who's totally into it, your eyes are going to blow out of your head because you're going to learn different things from those initial implementations. Really understanding it's like, is my data good enough? Are my processes good enough? Really, the resistance point of AI and cloud is coming from people, not
Right.
the technology itself. How am I adapting to those things? It allows you to monetize or measure the monetization of the investment.
Let me ask you this question. 1159, when they come into a company, how do you find that low hanging fruit, or do customers come to you and say, we'd like to do an AI implementation? We know
Mhm.
exactly where we're going to do it. Or do they come to you and say, someone mentioned AI to us, and we were told by Barless at Art of Intelligence that we should come to you? Which one is it?
What we try to point towards is that, look, if you're in the energy industry, are you in production, transmission, or distribution? Each one of those has proven case studies of where AI is actually making a difference. If you're in financial services, there are proven case studies of where AI is gaining traction and actually creating value. The thing that we try to do is not convince you that the idea you have is a bad idea, because there's probably a 99% chance that the idea you have is a really good idea. And more likely than not, there are some steps prior to that idea that are going to allow that idea to flourish rather than going straight to it, right? So we're jumping over some steps that need to happen before that idea can actually go into motion, right? A lot of people want to go immediately into predictive modeling. I want to be able to predict how my customer is going to behave, what they're going to do, how are they going to buy, what persona is that. Those are really great things. Is it a great idea? Absolutely. Your data has to be good. You have to understand how to segment what you're looking at. And to go from zero to that isn't a very aggressive stance. On top of it, the tech is changing every 3 months. Rather than taking that big leap, look for that keyhole, get in there, understand what you're doing, and then really guiding customers in the context of be successful first, then go after the other stuff, rather than trying to dream up a scenario that's maybe unproven, that has a lot of dependencies, and all of a sudden you find yourself exhausting any political goodwill you have, financial goodwill that you have within the company, and all of the cultural goodwill that you may have. And suddenly your people are like, yeah, that didn't work. Why are we doing it again? Your CFO is, we're not spending any more money on that. Right. And your
Absolutely.
executives are like, yeah, this is taking too much time and I'm not really sure what the value is. Because that's the majority of articles that have come out in the last 3 weeks. AI is not producing the value that people have promised. And it's, yeah, because everybody's jumping 3, 4, 5 steps ahead of where they really should. What we try to do is guide them into that initial anchoring of understanding what AI can do in weeks. So then you can begin that progression moving forward. And that tends to really help customers because we can provide them with that orientation based on your industry. Where should you actually start? We've seen it and done something that's worked in that industry, and we know it generates value. So start there without making some epic investment.
That's excellent advice. And something that I think all of these companies that listen to this podcast and are on LinkedIn and are trying to do AI, and all of the CEOs that I've talked to about art of intelligence and AI in itself, I think that having a company like 1159 is exactly where people need to get started, even if it's just for an initial conversation. I don't want to run out of time or take any
Okay.
more of your busy time. I'm sure you're a very busy guy. So I'm going to come to the point of the whole podcast. This conversation is tremendously interesting, and I think I would love to invite you to come and sit down at the next summit, wherever it is, and pick your brain for a couple hours. What is a use case for AI that you think most people don't know about, but is something that can help either businesses, humanity, and it could be something you've seen or something that you're
Mhm.
doing or something that you think should be done. But do you have a use case like that that our listeners would like to hear?
Yeah. So I talked a little bit about IDP within the financial services industry. Let's say that you're in the energy space and you need to maintain transmission lines that are typically carved out of a forest or have some kind of environmental impact around them in the sense that there are trees growing, bushes growing, animals, and all those kinds of things. We have a use case where drones are taking continuous footage of the transmission alleyways based on the data that's coming in using an IDP solution with multimodal AI, predicting when certain parts of that transmission line need to be serviced to prevent any kind of infringement,
Ooh,
automating the production of a ticket to the work through whatever work package the customer is using. And so then it gets scheduled, and we're automating where they should be cutting, where they should be trimming, where they should be maintaining to minimize fire, to minimize impediment to or risk to the transmission line.
wow.
And we have a lot of really great use cases in those contexts because that type of thing does not take some magical amount of lifting to put it into play. It's that keyhole model that allows somebody to leverage AI in a way that's appropriate and accessible. What we wound up doing is we built a use case AI engine. It interviews you to determine, you put in your company name, some basic data, the AI goes out and researches you, comes back, begins to help you fill out some content and identify the best use case to begin your AI journey. And it
Wow.
helps by explaining it and giving you complete an essay around why this is the best place, what components are going to be needed, why it's going to benefit you, what you should expect from it, and all those kinds of things. We have a lot of great use cases in specific industries. We're constantly developing new case studies for those industries and how they can apply it. And our use case generator, people at AWS, the account managers that work with us, love it because
I
they can
bet.
put in a company name, the AI researches the company, begins to populate content, and as you're steering it a little bit in terms of some additional questions, you can narrow down the best use case to kick off your AI.
Can I name it? EFD, Entrepreneurs for Dummies.
Perfect.
Where would someone get access to something like this?
Just through our website, 1159, enter a few pieces of information and you'll be able to get access. We really value people being able to get information and education. You should be able to go in, do your homework, get some info, get your bearings so that you're not feeling defensive when you're having a conversation with somebody. You should feel really versed and having that empowerment that you can understand rather than being spoken to, you can have somebody speak with you and helping you figure out where to get going.
I love this. AI for AI. That's excellent. Being
Yeah.
able to put in my company's name and say, hey, where do you think that I should be in the next couple of years? Or what do you think I should invest in to make my AI really take
Yeah.
off? And then not having a salesperson mansplain it to me so that
Yeah.
I'm feeling dumb about where I am in the world, and having something like an AI tell me, you really should invest in this and this and look at this and this, and let me help you with that. This is why. That's excellent. The world needs it. And I think that you guys are doing phenomenal. Account managers are going to blow it up. You should be doing fantastic. Alex, we're coming to the very end of our time. So before I let you go, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk with us. It's been a really great conversation. Is there anything that you would like to add about 1159? Are you guys going to be at any summits? Are you guys going to be doing any other podcasts that people should be aware of?
We're going to be at the AWS Summit in September. We're going to be at reInvent this year as well. Looking forward to a little bit of stage time there, depending on how the itinerary works out. We have regular published, scheduled areas that we're going to be attending at conferences, and we just love to talk about this stuff with folks. Realistically, at the end of the day, our company is not about trying to overwhelm a customer or a prospect in terms of what you should be doing with AI and trying to intimidate you. It's really about how do we help you find your anchor in terms of what AI means for you so that you can block out all the hyperbole of the terrible things that are coming or all the things you should be doing, and now you're in analysis paralysis or you're gridlocked because you're terrified of making the wrong decision. We want to help you make the right decisions and things that produce value for you. Our customers are not just customers. I have to, as a CEO, make decisions around what ERP am I investing in? How am I leveraging my CRM? How am I managing my people? What's my HR policy? How am I doing travel management? When you have hundreds of people doing this work, you have to figure out which softwares are we investing in? What platforms are we investing in? How are we doing our work with AWS? How are we doing our work with Microsoft? How are we doing our work with anybody else? I have the same challenges that my customers have. We really respect that process and understand the pressures that other CEOs and leaders are under. We try to make everything that we do relatable in that context.
And just one last question. Your book that you wrote, can you give us the name of the book and where people can get that?
It's on Audible and Amazon. It's Measure, Execute, Win. It goes back to my early days in neural network modeling and AI and being able to really understand what is preventing you from being successful in the initiative that you are ready to invest in. That may be an acquisition, creating a new product, beginning to use AI, modernizing your base platform that offers solutions to your customers, whatever it may be. What's going to prevent me from actually executing successfully in that context? A lot of it is around decision bias. We really took a look at the biases we carry into our decision models and how are they affecting our ability to make good decisions rather than data-driven decisions, right? Sunken cost bias, Monte Carlo bias, different things like that. And yeah, the book really explores it. It's a quick read. It's a good listen. It's not very long, but it really gives you some orientation of why am I making decisions or investing in things and they're not working out? And how do I do that better?
Fantastic. I'll definitely have to download that and read that soon. Alex, thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. The listeners really appreciate it. We'll have this edited and out as fast as possible. Thank you for joining. Please feel free to join anytime again.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.